Today, let's talk about one of my favorite pieces of gear, and probably one I use the most, other than the camera itself, is the Sirui carbon fiber monopod. Stick around. I've used this monopod over and over and over. I actually own 3. One of them is the smaller aluminum version, which I don't really recommend. I do recommend the carbon fiber version. This one is specifically the P324SR. Here are the specs I'm gonna throw quickly on screen so you can see. Spoiler alert, this monopod is one of my favorite things I use. Let's go through some of the pros and cons. The first pro for me is pretty much the main reason why I bought this is its long, wide base. It's pretty much got a 16-inch base. I definitely feel more comfortable leaving this thing alone and walking away with it on a job. I do end up putting it close to a wall or a corner so nobody knocks it down, but I do feel pretty comfortable, and I have done it, just left this thing. Obviously, everyone's gonna have their own risk factor about their gear. I'm pretty loosey-goosey with my gear. Like, I don't put it in a camera case. I just kind of I kind of throw this stuff in the back seat and just let it go. I don't really baby my gear, so everyone's gonna have their own risk tolerance, but I do feel very comfortable leaving this monopod by itself with a full setup. Like, I will put a gimbal on top of this and walk away. It's pretty secure. I mean, I'm trying to push this thing down. I don't recommend you guys doing this. Leave it at your own risk. So pro number 1 is its wide, stable base. Pro number 2 is that this thing is actually pretty lightweight. The heaviest thing I would say is the base, and that's actually a good thing, because for stability, I'd rather have my base heavier. Like, I've had some Benro monopods where the base was super light and it was very top heavy, and that's kind of dangerous unless you're always holding your monopod. You know, for me, I kind of use my monopod as a replacement tripod. So pro number 2 would be its compact size, lightweight, form factor, fairly easy to travel with. It does come with a case and you can put it on your shoulder and kind of carry it around. Pro number 3, it's got this rotating joint in the middle that allows you to do pans. So you can pretty much rotate this whole thing 360 degrees, and it's actually really smooth. So depending on how tight you make this middle section, you can get a pretty good pan out of this. I didn't actually think I would use it as much as I do. So that's pro number 3. Last pro is the build quality. This thing is a tank. It is solid. It hasn't failed on me once. I've had these things for years. Yeah, the build quality for these products are really, really solid. The price is a little pricey, and I'll get to that in the con section, but the build quality is definitely worth it. So that's a pro for me. Here's a little bonus pro that I don't really use, but I find it kind of cool. You're able to take off the base, unscrew the top plate, whatever this thing's called, throw it on top of here, switch the screw around, tighten that up, and now you have sort of a desktop tripod. Fun little tripod that you can hold in your hands. I think they call it the hi-hat setup, where it's sort of a small form factor. So I think that's kind of cool that you can use it in different scenarios. You can have a long monopod and then also sort of a desktop setup. Let's move on to some of the cons. The first con is more so a wear and tear type of con, and it's this little foam piece that comes with it. And over time, it sort of gets loose and it ends up kind of moving forward. I've actually had to just inch it down. So eventually, like, holding and grabbing the monopod up, this little sleeve kind of gets loose, and sometimes I've actually had one of them rip open. So that's it. I mean, not a big deal. Just over the span of 2 to 3 years, it's kind of had its wear and tear. Con number 2, and this isn't really a con, but more so a maintenance issue that kind of find it annoying to do from time to time, and having to loosen these legs. So I end up bringing a Allen wrench and just tightening them up. Yeah, I just find it annoying. So I'm gonna put it in the cons. Last con is the higher price point. These things do go up to about $250. You can probably get a used one on sale, but $250 is pretty high for a monopod. I remember first buying it and thinking, man, that's pretty expensive for a monopod. For beginners, you could probably get by with a cheaper monopod or a tripod, but this is something that I have used professionally, and if you want to step your game up, then maybe the $250 price point isn't a con for you. It wasn't for me, but I'm putting it in the cons for some of the beginners out there. All right, guys, so that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think about the monopod. If you have a better monopod that you would suggest, let me know. Thanks again for watching, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.